This is my 2009 Coromal Pioneer Silhouette PS421, and I'm about to replace the lift cables into the four corners. It's 16, 17 years old now, and even though they're working fine, I'm not sure how much longer they'll be okay. So I think proactively I'll replace those cables, and there's not a lot of material online to show what to do, but we'll try and work it out as we go. So I've decided to replace the four lifter cables on my Coromal Pioneer Silhouette PS421, and I'm just going to briefly show you a video of how to do that. So my winder is at the rear left of the cabin, and I'm now in my Coromal here, and you'll see this is the rear seat in my particular configuration. I have removed the seat cushion, and it becomes a storage well, as you can see. But at the back there, you'll see down the bottom that there's a partition, and that's where the rear lifter cables are. So all I've done to start with is to take out the screws at the very bottom there, and now I'm about to pull that out, and we'll have a look. I've now removed these screws, and I'm going to pull this partition off now. Hopefully this will expose the rear cabling. And there we go, there is the rear cabling. So that there is what I believe is called the Whiffler plate. So there's the main cable there coming off the winch. That comes straight down onto that. Now my roof is fully raised, so that means that should be as short as possible. And then now I have my four cables there going from that Whiffler plate. Now it looks like it goes this way. I didn't know which way it headed. And there it goes over into they're heading towards the right rear corner. So now we'll just do some more exploring. One of the first things I've noticed as I get in here, I'll just see if I can get a close-up for you, is that there is an awful lot of metal filings over everything. You'll see down there on the floor, along here on these rails. So it's sort of indicating to me that there is some wear going on there, because obviously metal filings have to come from somewhere. The cables initially don't look too bad, at least at this Whiffle plate end here. But yes, there definitely is some wear going on there, and we'll investigate further to see if we need to replace these or not. There's the main winch cable there, which is, as you can see, it's a much thicker cable than the thinner post cables, the four there. There's actually because I'm right in the corner where the winch is, and one of the corner posts is right behind that winch. The rear left post is right behind that winch. But all cables come to this the Whiffler plate here, all four, as you can see, the four eye bolts. So that means one of these cables, I haven't worked it out yet, but it actually goes away, is connected to the rear left post behind the winch there, is actually connected to the Whiffler plate here, and it comes back. You'll see this one at the bottom there, that cable there that I'm moving, it goes up to a pulley, up to the end there. You'll see a pulley, if I can get my torch in there, and then it goes through that pulley, and then comes back from the Whiffler plate through the pulley back over here. You'll see at the back there that's that cable going into the post there. So I'm now at the front of my Coromal, and what I'm looking at here is over on this side, this is the front seat, and you'll see this cable here, this is for the front left post. Now, how it works is you have this down here, which is a flexible, this part here is a flexible spring, and this gets pushed up from this tube here, gets pushed along, and then that goes up there and up inside the post, and that's what pushes the post up. So how it works is this cable here, This is the cable for it, and it comes from the wiffle plate at the back. It's come along from the back left, gone across to the back right, and then gone from the back right to the front right, which is over this side, and then it's come across there from a pulley over here to the front left. Okay, so they're all the same, but this is just a clearer one to show you how it works. So this cable has come from the wiffle plate. When you raise the roof, it gets pulled that direction. It comes around here over a pulley and then goes down inside this tube. So this cable here goes down inside this tube to a slug. Now the slug is behind this flexible spring, and the slug, as this cable is pulled, the slug moves along this way, and that pushes that spring up into the post. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to replace these cables. Now this flexible spring here, because the roof is fully raised at the moment, it should be pretty close to the end here. I'm not sure where it will be, but what I'm planning to do is make sure all the tension's off these cables and put your roof safety props in, obviously, so there's no tension on these cables at all. And then because the spring should be here, and then somewhere behind that will be this slug which I need to get to, okay, to replace this cable. And that's the plan. And then by removing those two bolts there in this steel tube, and there's another one down here, right at the end, just there. There's 3 bolts holding that tube down, okay? So once I do that, I should be able to wiggle this tube here off the end of that flexible spring and get to expose that slug. So that's the plan once I get all the tension off this cable here. To access the front right post and mechanism, I've had to go in through the cupboard here, which is all the electricals in my Coromal Pioneer Silhouette PS421. And there is a very simple little shelf there inside, and I've actually unscrewed that, and you can see I'm struggling to get that out. It's in one piece, but it has a recess cut into it, so when you lift it, it binds up a little bit. I'm thinking I may have to. It has a support inside there, which it sits on. So if I cut that in the center of that, I could just screw it down onto that and make it a lot easier to get out. So I'll just endeavour to get this out. You can see, if you can look down there, you can see there is the front right mechanism. I need to get to that, be able to get to that that post there, to be able to do the same thing on each corner. And you can see the over there, you'll see the cables coming from the back along the on the right hand side there. They come along, hit that pulley, and then one goes, there's 2 cables for the front left and front right. Anyway, we'll keep progressing and see how we go. Okay, so I've now been able to work my way through this and find out which cable goes to each location at the 4 corners of the camper. And you'll see what I've done there just to help me is I've just color coded each of the eyelets representing each corner, so that I know exactly you know, what I'm dealing with and where each cable goes, so I don't get confused at any point in time. Now the other thing I've done now is I've now fully winched up the roof. Now there are a lot of videos around which talk about measuring to the gap from the top of the camper to underside of the roof so that it's all even. In my particular circumstance, I have a canvas wall van, so for me the most important thing is the tension of the canvas. So in this case here, I am just using that as my guide, because obviously if it's out slightly dimensionally, it doesn't bother me so much as long as the canvas is taut and pulled to the correct tension. So what I've done now is I've marked the floor of the where the wiffle plate is there. You'll see I've scribed down to mark it, so that's the fully raised position. I have still got a little bit left on the winch there, so I could go a little bit higher, but I want to make sure that I end up there so that when I lower the roof, it can obviously travel the full distance, the metre or so it has to go for the roof to lower. So I need to make sure that that raised position stays relatively in the same position after I've replaced the cables. You'll notice the cables here too don't have any eyelets around them. They've just got the cable around the eye bolts. So I need to probably try and incorporate some eyelets there to just stop that stress on those cables there. All right, up to the next stage. I've now installed my 4 steel safety props and made sure they're in place with the full roof fully raised, and I've backed the winch off, and you'll see now that was the mark here where the wiffle plate was when it was fully loaded. Now I've backed it off and the cables are loose. I grab these, you can see there's no load on those at all. So I'm now free to start replacing these cables, okay? So my plan is to do one cable at a time, and then when I actually put the cable in, I'm going to pull the wiffle plate back to where it should be at fully raised height, because the roof is fully raised. And then what I'll do is I'll move these eye bolts out to give me maximum amount of tensioning. So I'll take this thread here, move it just so there's only 2 or 3 threads sticking out at this end. So all the slack is this end, and that way I can pull these up to tension later on, and I'll show you how to do that to remove the safety poles eventually when I'm finished. So I'm ready to go now. All 4 cables are loose, and I can start. And I'll probably do the front left first, which is the one I shown you in an earlier part of the video, and I'll do that one first. It's the longest one too. So, and once you do one, of course, it's just rinse and repeat essentially. All right, let's move on. Okay, so I'm now removing the first of these guide tubes for the flexible springs. This is the one here that I'm removing, and there's 2 bolts there, one there and one there, and there's another bolt down the other end. So I'm just going to take these bolts out now. So you can see there, there's not a lot of room, and it's got a big long shaft of the bolt coming through, so I won't be able to use a socket on that one. That's going to be a bit fiddly to get that out. Okay, so I now remove the 3 bolts, the 2 bolts there, and the one nut there. So that end there should lift up, and I should be able to now drag this guide tube for the flex spring off that flex spring, and enable us to see the slug at the end of it. So let's have a go now. So I'm going to lift up the other end first of all. It's proving to be a little bit difficult, so we'll need to get a screwdriver or something under there to get that off that bolt there. Okay, so I've now prized that end up there off that bolt, and there's room, and I've loosened it up at this end here, so we should be able to now pull this off that by wiggling that. We should be able to pull that away from the spring. Okay, it's moving, the spring's moving too, which we don't want it to do. So let's see if we can hold that spring. And at the same time, we'll pull that tube away. So you can see I've now pulled that guide tube off the flexible spring. It actually goes into that tube probably by a good 150 mils or so, and you'll see there's the cable which should have the slug on it. So if I pull on this now, it should pull that slug out from inside, and you'll see it's just starting to come through there now. So I'll just finish that off and then I'll show you. So I've now pulled the slug out from the end of the tube, and you'll see it just here. This is what it looks like. Interesting, I've never seen one of these before, but it looks like it's just like a piece of aluminium or steel, and it's got one blunt end on it, and then it looks like, haven't opened it up yet, but it looks like it's just a crimp on the end of the wire that they folded inside that, and that just then, when you pull that cable, just pulls along like that and pushes that flex spring up in to lift the roof. So let's just pull this apart now and have a look at what we've got. So I've now pulled this cable out of this slug, and you'll see here all it is on the end of that is just it's folded over and swaged, and how it was set up was like this. You have a look on this slug, there's a one corner that's got a bigger gap, the others are pretty tight. Looks like it might be aluminium, and this was simply wedged in here like this, like that, and then that was just closed up so that can't pull through. And then you've got this blunt end here when the cable's pulled, pushing on the end of the flex spring, which is over here. So that would just hit that, and that's what pushes that up the post. Right, now we're going to move on to the next step, which is replacing this one cable. But it's really important now to explain that the length of it is not so important, because in the earlier video I showed you where I mark the wiffle plate where it's up at the fully raised position. So as long as I get the cable back tensioned at that location, that's fine. But what you have to do now is you have to cut this. We have to cut this cable here, and then we're going to put a drawstring on it. Now this is really important, because can't see, all I can see is the start of the cable at the wiffle plate and the finish of the cable here at the flexible spring, okay? But the other bit that runs down the side of the van is fully enclosed, and I'm not even sure if I can get to it. So the only way I can get this wire replaced is I've got to draw back a draw wire after I cut this off. The reason I've got to cut this off is because you won't get that through the pulleys, okay? This wire's got to feed through the pulleys. So we're going to cut this off, then we're going to attach a draw wire to it, and then I'm going to pull the cable back from the wiffle plate, and that'll draw the draw wire or string with it, okay? Then that draw wire or string will be in the same path, obviously, as where the cable needs to go. And therefore, then when I put the new cable in, I can draw it back with the draw wire through that same path, through the various pulleys it's got to go through. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll get to that step in a minute. Now the other thing we need to do too when we replace this is, you'll see here, this is the flexible spring, and it's now moving up as far as it can go inside the posts, the telescopic posts. But you'll notice that there's a fair bit of grease, but also underneath it there's looks like a friction resistant sort of material, so that this allows the spring to slide on that. Now that's got obviously also squeeze up underneath that. You'll see that there goes all the way up underneath that spring and probably up around that bend, all the way up into the vertical stage of that. Now I'm going to remove all that grease too here at the corner. You'll see all that grease there. I think we can put in a high temperature, high pressure type style of grease. That allows that just to obviously just get some lubrication each time it goes up and down that flexible spring. As you can see, there's lots of grease. That's the full length of the flexible spring. I can actually now fully remove that from inside the telescopic posts. And the reason why I wanted to pull that out as much as I could was so that I can get to that, all that, you can see there that guide film that reduce the friction on the spring, and also into that corner as well, just to wipe that all out, clean it all up, and basically so we can charge it up fully again with nice fresh grease. So you can see now I've cleaned up this area, this whole area. There's that anti-friction tape. It looks like it's stuck to the bottom of that tube. I'll feed that back up in there when I put the flexible spring in after I change the cable. Now I'm up to the stage where I've got the I've got that slug out, as I mentioned here, and now I need to take this cable out with a draw wire on it. But before I can do that, I need to cut it. Now this is grade 316 stainless. It's what they call a 7x19 configuration. It needs to be that type and size. Mine's a 3.2mm cable. Yours might be different, but mine's 3.2mm diameter. And because it's very flexible, it means that when you cut it, it'll fray very easy. So what I've done here is I've just put a bit of tape around that wire. I'm going to hold that with my pliers in a second, and then quickly just cut through that with my little cut-off angle grinder. If you've got a decent pair of wire cutters, it probably do the same thing, but you'll still get the fraying, so you need to have that tape around there. Make sure you wipe the wire down with any some isopropyl alcohol or something like that to get rid of any grease, so that tape will stick. All right, that's where we're up to. Let's move on. You'll see now that I've attached my draw wire or string, in this case, to my cable. So when I pull that back now towards the wiffle plate, it'll have that drawstring on it. Now, it doesn't, I've just taped it along the side of the cable there. In this particular instance, it doesn't need to be very all that tight, because the fact all I'm pulling is a string. However, later on, when I pull back the replacement cable, it will definitely need to be well and truly fixed, because we're pulling the cable through at that time. So anyway, that's where we're up to now. We're going to pull this cable now back. I've identified it at the wiffle plate. We can now pull that back to the wiffle plate, and then that'll have the draw wire in drawstring in place for us. Now, as you can see here on the floor, I've now drawn back that left front cable, and now drawn it back through the system, through the pulleys, and there is the pink draw cord that I've pulled back, and now I'll be able to attach that to my new cable to pull back through to the location. So that'll be a little bit trickier, because I'll be pulling through a cable rather than just a lightweight draw cord like that. So that's where we're up to. Next step will be to get the new cable and to feed that back through the system to the front of the van again. I've now bought the replacement cable. You can see there on the screen, it's a stainless steel grade 316 7x19 arrangement. You need that 7x19 to give you the flexibility to get it around the pulleys, and it's a 3.2mm in my van. I wanted to just show you this video though, just to show you that I've just used a heat shrink there. I'm going to cut that in the middle there, and what that does is if you don't do that, you'll get a lot of unraveling of the wire strand. Otherwise, alternatively you can wrap electrical tape around it. It's a little bit fiddly, but you can do it that way. But these little heat shrinks are the best way to go. This is the first of my replacement cables laid out in the ground there. As most of it's going to be hidden, I've now cut that, it's at the right length. As most of that cable is going to be hidden, what I need to do with each of the cables is to spray them with a lanolin type spray of some sort, nanotech or one of these type sprays. What that'll do is protect the cable from moisture, rust, basically just because most of it's unseen, you'll never see it again. You need to make sure there's some coating on that cable just to make sure that it, as I said, is protected. Don't use grease or anything like that, because that'll just attract dirt, and then that dirt will get bound up in all your pulleys and so forth. So you need something like a lanolin spray like I've got here. I'm just going to spray it on my cloth, and then I'm going to wipe it off onto the cable. So I'm just about to draw through my new cable. There's the draw wire that I previously pulled through before. Now I've got the draw cable wrapped around the new cable. As you can see, there's spiral around it. That'll give it some tension. I've got about 15 centimeters there, and I've also got down there a bit of shrink tube, so that'll hold it on. It needs to be fairly secure, because now you're pulling through the main cable, and this obviously can't afford to detach, otherwise you won't get it through all your pulleys. So you need to make sure this works and that it holds on. As you can see, I've now shrunk down the shrink tube on the draw cord, and it's all good to go. Make sure the end has got a little bit overhanging there, so that there's no snags as it gets pulled through. Okay, so I've now successfully drawn through the new cable. It's gone through all of the relevant pulleys, and now what I can do is first thing I'll do is fit the new swage on the end of this for the slug, and then we'll insert that into the support, floor support. So I've now fitted the slug to the cable, inserted the slug back into the tube here, and then reinserted the effect spring. I then pushed the spring up and back down into the support tube here, so that it sits about here where I've got this black line. That's where the bottom of the spring, so the slug will be about here. I've repacked that corner with high temperature, high pressure grease, like basically wheel bearing grease. So that'll get well and truly lubricated every time that goes up and down. And my new cable is here. I just got to make sure now I tension this. It's all back in the same path. It's a brand new cable, and then once I do that, we can start on the other three, which I won't do separate videos for because it's all exactly the same. I will finish off with the final adjustment on getting the height of the van correct though. So here I am back at the wiffle plate now, and you'll see here's my new cable that's come through from the front. Now I have to connect that back to this is the gold coloured eyelet here, which represents the front left pulley or pole. So, but before I do that, what I've got to do, you'll see how I loosened this off. The black line there represents where it should be. The wiffle plate should be when the roof's full. So I've got to disconnect these other three cables to give me enough play to pull that back, this wiffle plate back to here. And then I can connect this one and tension it up. And that'll also, you'll notice I've taken all the adjustment back out of these, so there's full length here for tensioning. So basically I've got full, even if I don't get it tensioned correctly, I can use this thread here to tension these up even further.